Lines of community services.
Well, they forgot to turn on your theme song for when you came back. That's the problem. They forgot to turn your theme song on for when you came back. All the fans could cheer.
You're okay. Which is fine. I'm just gonna read all the rest. I keep trying to pretend that I don't.
Here.
No, thank you. No more tea. Okay. Tea, you okay?
We're ready to go. My name's Al. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, she is just finished drug testing with the health team, and she's on her way.
I was like. What's that? I think that's Charmin's job. The little one?
You ready?
As long as Sherman is ready online,
She hasn't logged in yet.
might need to give her a transition moment.
Oh, okay. I was thinking the first thing that.
What's that?
She's scrambling, please give her another minute.
What a good looking audience. We ought to have TV cameras here. We're giving our secretary in her office just a minute to catch up. We kind of have her busy on the executive session, so just bear with us and we'll get going. The radiation is in my eyesight so bad. I really have glasses on. Is she up there on the screen?
Yes, she is.
Are you ready, Charmin? modern technology. I'd like to call this meeting of the Reedsport School District 105 to order. We have a quorum. And would everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I think it was her.
All right. Changes to the agenda? I don't think there is any, right? Okay, good. Our favorite part of the evening, right here, accolades. These are January, February awards.
These are March awards.
Oh, March, okay.
All caught up, yep.
All caught up, good deal.
So superintendent awards are the opportunity that the teacher gets one time per year to celebrate all the great things that are happening for them and as teachers with your kiddos. So it's important to note that each home gets one of these a year, so the selections are difficult and they really have to really kind of hone in on who that recipient is going to be and why. So we'll get to hear some stuff here from our folks. Miss Isley, you want to go first? Mrs. Isley is bringing Kaylee Ansel Flipfrop for her superintendent award winner. Kaylee, you want to come on up?
Alright. It's my honor to select Kaylee for the March Superintendent Award. Kaylee is a wonderful leader in our classroom. I've enjoyed watching her grow this year. She is kind, helpful, and compassionate. One thing I really appreciate about Kaylee is that she is always willing to help in whatever capacity is needed. She comes in each day with a great attitude and a smile, ready to take on whatever might come her way. She's a wonderful friend to all those around her. Another thing I admire about Kaylee is how she shows compassion to those around her. She takes her time to stop and make sure her friends and classmates are okay. This is something I see her do almost daily all around the school, and it's a great quality to have. Kaylee is also kind to those around her. I always find her talking respectfully to everyone. I can always count on her to show others kindness in both in the classroom and around the school. If someone is having a hard time getting along, she is one of the first ones to step up and help problem solve. It has been a pleasure to have Kaylee in class this year, and I'm looking forward to watching her growth throughout the rest of the year. I know she will accomplish many things, both in and out of school. Great job.
Mrs. Watt, would you come up here? And she has brought Lily Thurman for her superintendent award winner. Lily, you want to come on up?
She's already heard this as I said it out loud to my class and to celebrate her. So, dear Mr. Miller, it is with great enthusiasm I award my Superintendent's Award for the 2022-23 academic year to daughter Lily. Lily is an excellent student with high aspirations. She excels in writing, drawing, creating stories that are incredibly interesting and funny. But what separates Lily from others within my classroom is her unabashed love of learning. This is not a student merely showing up and checking boxes to complete assignments. Lily is an exuberant, passionate learner who is very, very curious about everything. I want to thank you, Lily, as you truly motivate me. During mathematics, to look up and see your face intensely focused is everything. The excitement in your voice as you purposefully and thoughtfully answer, and the fury when you don't quite understand a concept is incredible. You motivate me to up my game, and I can't thank you enough for the reminder, but your true gift is your ability, without trying, to motivate your classmates. You quietly engage others to follow your academic quest as you purposefully raise your hands with each instructional prompt. Thank you. Mr. and Ms. Thurman, you have raised an amazing young lady. And she has a voice and she has a direction. And her quiet strength has supported her substantial confidence growth this year. I hope you've seen it at home as well. What else do we want from our children? To raise our kids with the tools they need to succeed and to do so in a way that their path is filled with laughter and curiosity. And resilience is everything. Lily, your perseverance, resilience, and I won't quit attitude is going to be your ticket to a life of your choosing. I'm looking forward to watching your journey and know that your classmates and I are going to be cheering you on.
Ms. Adams, you want to go next?
Sure. Kristen, do you?
To the family of Tristan Lyon, I'm gonna try to do this without crying. Okay. It is with great honor that I nominate Tristan Lyon for the March 2023 Superintendent Award. Mr. Lyon is a seventh grade student who demonstrates extremely strong leadership skills for a young middle school scholar. Mr. Lyon approaches his learning like a detective approaches a mystery. He is curious and asks a vast amount of questions about any topic he encounters. Often his questions are cross-curricular. He will connect what he learns in science to his history classes. He is persistent and wants to know where to find information so he can continue learning on his own. Mr. Lyon also makes excellent choices during class time. He promotes good work ethic amongst his peers and advocates for his peers' learning needs. He will sometimes ask to switch tables so that he may assist others or have a quieter work area. Sometimes learning is frustrating, and Mr. Lyon always works through his frustration with a cheerful attitude, and we will figure it out together, team mindset. He provides help as well as asks for it himself. He is wise beyond his years with his ability to know what he doesn't know and then seek answers. Above all, this part I'm crying. Above all, Mr. Lyon is a nice guy. He is nice to everyone and advocates for others to be nice to their peers as well. He is a great community member and ready to be helpful to our learning community. He's even nice to our classroom pet tarantula, Nora, who is currently residing in Mr. Adams' classroom. He inquires about her well-being and, when appropriate, asks to say hello and carry on a conversation with Nora. I'm looking forward to see how Mr. Lyon's academic career will proceed, and I'm sure that he will continue to be an amazing representative of Reed Sports Community Charter School.
And Mrs. Brown. Like you were next. And Gabby, go on.
So to Gabby's mom, it is my great pleasure to recognize Gabby as the Superintendent Award winner for the month of March. I have Gabby in two different class periods, U.S. History and Psychology, so I get to see her lovely, shining face twice a day. Thank you. And over the last 6 months, I have truly enjoyed getting to know her and being a witness to her success, both in and out of my classroom. Gabby is an outstanding student. She does her work with high intention and sincere effort. She gives thoughtful answers and responses in all that she does. She's an excellent writer, one of the best in her class. Gabby has recently found a new love of reading, and I often see her carrying a book into class with her. Even though I'm not an English teacher, I am an avid reader myself, and I absolutely love seeing students share my love of books. Gabby even recently recommended a book to me that I bought and read, so I love that. Gabby's a leader in the classroom, always being one of the first to jump into the conversation or give her opinions on difficult topics. She's a great role model to those around her, and she does her best to keep her classmates and peers in line, and it's tough sometimes. I have also had the pleasure of seeing Gabby be a leader on the volleyball court. both while she is actively playing and while she is sitting on the bench, always being the loudest cheerleader in the gym. Gabby is a critical thinker, a mature conversationist, and a model student. Her positive attitude and willingness to go above and beyond in her schoolwork and extracurriculars will get her very far. Success is never an accident. From what I have seen in Gabby, she knows this to be true. She is successful on purpose. My favorite president, Teddy Roosevelt, once said, and Gabby can tell you all about him after taking this history, old age is like everything else. To make success of it, you've got to start young. And while Gabby has a long way to go until her old age, she has done an excellent job of starting her young life on a positive and successful note. She has a good head on her shoulders and has pointed herself in a direction positively towards a successful future. I've been impressed with her abilities and eagerness to learn, and I'm proud to recognize her this month. I'm positive she will continue to flourish in all that she does in her educational career and beyond.
So, while we wait for Charmin to come in and get the group photo, because we need everybody back up here, I heard a leadership theme in the classroom and a love of learning, almost all those letters. I just try to take a note each month, what sorts of common things our students are doing that make them stand out for us. So if those students and teachers would come up here one more time, we do the group photo. We're gonna put it on Facebook. Yeah, just right up in front.
Actually, here, sure.
Charmin, are we squeezed in enough for you?
Ready for the good?
Can I have the little one come in front here just a little bit, and then you guys can scoot over? Here we go. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Ready? I'm gonna take a couple of them. 1, 2, 3, smile, and another one. And we're good. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Well, as we prepare to move on with our meeting, you folks that brought in kids and got to see your kids get accolades, if you would like to leave, we'd like you to stay, but if you'd like to leave, we'd give you a couple minutes and you could exit. Thank you for coming and congratulations to all those holy smokes.
Kara, I appreciate my notice when after that, you even sat down next to you.
Al, are you freezing over there? I didn't freeze you out, did I? I can always put on a sweater.
Okay, let's move along, if we would, please. Community comments? Mr. Superintendent, sir, do we have any? Okay, hearing none, we'll move into reports.
Can I hijack the elementary principal for just a moment, please? I want to make an introduction. It affects all the buildings.
Okay.
Officer Keenan Walker is our student resource officer, and he just joined Reed's Fork School District on Wednesday, and we got sworn in on Monday. You can see by their names, this is our board of directors, but I should want to be sure that you're present. We're so happy to finally have an SRO.
Yeah.
Thank you so
We
much.
waited all year for this, so.
I feel safer already.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
He arrived Wednesday and got sworn in Monday, and he's already in the building, and so we
Where are you from,
appreciate him.
Walker?
Florence?
Oh, perfect. You know us.
Yes, ma'am. I was at Florence PD for 4 years.
Nice.
Before that, I did some time in the National Guard,
Yeah.
military police for 6 years, keeping with the theme.
All right.
I wanted to come down here and get a little more experience in some different avenues, and I have some goals of trying to build a better rapport, so to speak, with the children. I know that some of them are kind of hesitant to want to connect with law enforcement, so I'm hoping that I can bridge that gap a little bit. And then school security and safety is going to be my top priority.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
That's, so, thank you.
Yeah, that was cool.
All right, let's hear from our elementary administrator, Ms. O'Brien.
Good evening. I'd like to start off by welcoming Mr. Walker. We're super excited, and we have he got to meet our staff this last week, and he's going to be probably going in the next week or two to each individual classroom to connect with the kids and just meet the classrooms, meet the kids, and kind of start off on a very positive note. So we're very excited. Our ELA adoption committee has been meeting ever since, I think it's been about November, looking through English language arts, language arts curriculum for our K-6 purchase or adoption. So last year, we had the opportunity to purchase something and adopt, but we had enough of our previous curriculum that we opted to keep it and give it one more year. Staff are feeling good with it. So we looked through all of the choices off of our state adopted approved list, and our committee has narrowed it down to one that we are going to be looking to be purchasing. We had it out for our community at our literacy night last week. And if any community members want to come in and take a peek at it and offer any questions, feedback, comments until we adopt next month, I would encourage anyone to come take a look at it. It's very similar to what we have right now. It's our Houghton Mifflin interreading. So our staff are very familiar with the publishing company and kind of the layout of the curriculum. Something I'd like to share.
Preview, by the way.
What was that?
Thank you for the preview, by the way, at the festival the other night. in
Yeah,
Highland. It
Yeah,
was really
we're
nice to
hoping
be
that a
able
lot
to-
of people would take a look at it, and
Yeah.
many people did. Not many people had questions, but so we want to make sure that anyone else wants to come. We still have it in the elementary building, kind of set in a display that we can have anyone come in and take a peek if they want to. One thing I'd like to share is, Jerry and I and John met with our local judge about our truancy issues. If you remember, about a year and a half ago, the decision to take away any kind of citations or fines for families was ordered. And so our state department has encouraged school districts to incentivize attendance. So we do raffles for attendance, we do awards, we praise, we send letters home to families, we try and meet with the families and remind them of what attendance means for their student. There is a Senate bill that was put on the docket that I opted to testify to yesterday to the Senate Committee of Education, just as a way to hear from an administrator who is concerned about the way that our funding is given to schools based on test scores, or how funding is released, how sanctions are done on schools for achievement scores. And so basically I had my 2.5 minutes to tell this committee that it is very important that we're able to have one more something that we can enforce to get kids on site, so we can actually teach, so we can actually hold those families accountable. This is a personal advocacy for myself. I was not representing Reedsport necessarily, but as a principal, I said, we're trying to do everything that we can when we're held accountable for, I know in my building, I have 12% of my student body has missed at least a 30% of the school year. And that is a huge amount. It is hard for students. It's hard for teachers to build relationships. It's hard to keep on track and keep going. So I just wanted to share, I'm not sure where this goes. I spoke to our state lobbyist for our administrative coalition, and he's not sure where this will go. They do have a task force that they're wanting to look more ways to get kids into buildings, but they know that 16,000 kids in Oregon are not being not having productive and positive attendance right now. So we're missing the boat. And of ours, we have, in my building, I have 37 students that I'm tracking. And that's being very lenient, right? Not looking at a lot of the sick days, not looking at the, a lot of appointments. You know, we go through and we sift through a lot of those things that we know families need to do. So I wanted to share that if there's any avenue or way that I can keep trying to find a solution to something, I will. I don't know if it'll turn out, but I wanted to at least share that I tried. One very positive thing I'd like to share, Mr. Hamner took 19 kids to a state archery competition in Albany this last weekend, and the kids did really, really well. Really well. We had, in the elementary division, we had, which is I think the 4-5 level, we had Garrett Renner got a sportsmanship award. We had Holden B-Tech and Mackenzie Sheephelps placed 3rd. We had Wyatt Hoyle and Kendall Dillahay placed 2nd. So they all received trophies, and they're still tallying the overall team scores to determine if we're able to take away a 1st place trophy or not. So Mr. Hamner's very, very excited and felt very successful with that trip up to Albany this last weekend. Just some upcoming events that we have going on. Our staff are going to be meeting this Friday for some professional development. One of the things that we have lined up is some a training from our South Coast ESD to support some behavior, trauma, and overall brain intelligence. So basically, like, how do we work with kids who have a lot of things going on in their world, and how it maybe is displayed in their world in the classroom or in their world on the playground. So we have a team coming up to help our staff with that this Friday. We have our HPO free movie night the 16th. This is a Goofy movie at 5:30. And then we have our annual tree planting. We're working with our network folks from Roseburg to do our tree planting out near Scottsburg. Our leadership, not our whole leadership class, but part of the leadership class, Mr. Watts is arranging to have about a half a dozen or so high school helpers come down and help do a barbecue for the 5th and 6th graders after the tree planting at Scottsburg Park. And that is on April 5th. That's kind of what's shaking at Highland.
Any questions for?
Yeah, I got a question. So your testimony that you did, who was it to again?
The Education Committee, the Senate Education Committee.
So after all, they take in all the testimonies and whatnot, are they supposed to come back with some kind of fix it, or, I mean, what's going on?
That committee would forward a specific bill to the floor for a vote. So the committee is going to be forwarding bills or killing bills in committee. And so there's several thousand bills this legislative session between the House and the Senate, and a few hundred will actually make it to the floor. So getting testimony and trying to advocate for certain issues is pretty common stuff.
Was that truancy decision, did it come out of COVID?
I think so, yes,
Okay, so it
yes.
was a direct-
And of all the people who testified, most people were from rural school districts. There was about 3 different judges who said, this is necessary. We don't use it very often. And that was part of my testimony. This is not a first resort. This is absolutely a last resort. And in my time here, I think that of the families we actually cited, I think there's maybe only 3 that I can remember. So it's really something that once families though get that, you know, we're trying to get you in, we're calling, we're having a meeting on the site. Now we're doing the 2nd letter, the 3rd letter, let's do another meeting. And there's so much just to get these families in. I just lost my train of thought. It's a
tremendous amount of
it's
work
just
on your
so
part
much,
to get-
but it's not like something that we want to, you know, we do so much, but once that penalty or some kind of penalty is like how this sort of last approach, that's when people start listening. And even still, the last one that I know that I was a part of before COVID, there was a fine as part of the citation, but it could be offset by the families attending, and so they attended every day and the fine went away. So, but a lot of school districts and a lot of courts are seeing there's a very kind of apathetic approach to how families are wanting to not have their kids participating, and it really causes a lot of problems for the students and for the staff and for a school even.
So are we still doing a kind of a hybrid thing? Or did that kind of go out the window now?
We are fully on site. We do have a few families.
So you either have
pull their kids out for online, but
you have a choice. You can either be online
Yeah.
for the school year, or you can.
we don't have very many who are fully at home and using remote learning. We have students doing a little bit of hybrid in the high school, our Spanish classes. But most students who are going to be back.
But those are
in
for
school
specific classes, so
Yeah,
they're not the whole year curriculum.
right. We have very few, if any, kids who are staying at home using an online platform. We have one available because we learned that we have to.
Yeah, we have to, I get that, but because the year before, didn't we have kind of a hybrid thing going where?
Even last year, we had most of our kids back on site. Families in small towns want their kids back in the
Right,
classrooms.
right.
So we didn't suffer the way that I've heard some other places have.
Well, 16,000 number is a pretty atrocious number.
Here's a quick math for you. If we go to school for 10 months and kids miss 1 day a month, times 13 years, it's 130 days of school. Out of 153, they lose an entire school day, an entire school year by just missing 1 day a month. And people aren't really, oh yeah, just 1 day a month. It's only 1 day a month. But over the course of a child's educational career, that's an entire year lost.
So you say you're factoring out though sick days and illness, because I mean, I think it's sort of our
It's
responsibility
right.
to keep our kids out of school when they're,
Right.
how do you-
So when I look to see, so when we go through our attendance and I get our report from Miss Daly and she'll say, which families do we need to send letters to? And so like an example of a student being out for a week, a parent was diagnosed with cancer and they were going through chemo treatments and they were receiving them off-site. I did not include 5 extra days of this, right? This is we're looking through very specific cases of, and most of them are even pre-COVID chronic pieces. These have been happening for the entire 5 years that I've been here. And so, yeah.
I was gonna say, full disclosure, I got a letter this year.
Oh, yeah.
And it was because we
Yeah.
were out of town for a full week
Yeah,
for a
yeah.
funeral and,
Yeah.
but she was doing her work.
And you probably got
That's what I was wondering.
the subtle letter. There's like 3 levels of
Yeah.
letters that it's like, hey, just a reminder.
Yeah.
This is what this is. Then it goes to it's a little bit more direct, like now you've reached this point.
Right.
And then there's like a more, like even a third kind of level of one before we even pull families onto site to say, hey, what's happening? What's going on? And I think my original frustration was, we have just started doing on-site meetings about 3 weeks ago. And of my 3 scheduled meetings that I have with parents, none of them showed up. So it's, those are the ones that I'm advocating for. We need something more for, right? Like those 3, and like I said, there's probably less than a dozen families that need that extra push, but it's still impacting the entire school from when a teacher's trying to do something and they have to hold off on a lesson because 6 of their kids are gone. Well, what is the reason for those 6 kids being gone? Is it because they're sick? Sure, then we need to figure that out. But if they don't want to be there, or they stayed up too late last night, that kind of impacts things differently.
Can I answer the question?
Yes, sir.
Of the 16,000 kids in Oregon, is that just in the public school system? Does that include private school? Is that home school? We don't know.
I'm not sure where that number originates from.
It was a number that they talked in the Senate meeting, talking about the 16,000 truant students. So that they didn't identify or clarify if it was private or public or both. I'm assuming. Yeah.
I had the opportunity, because I spent 8 years as a school resource officer in my career. I had an opportunity in October to meet with a local judge, and we had a conversation with a circuit court judge who was in charge of the juvenile department. And it was so frustrating because I thought highly of this judge in my career. And hearing his answers to the detention problems and the lack of kids attending school was pretty disheartening. You know, he had no clue. He was edging toward blaming the schools, you know, for the, you know, the lack of attendance. And I just thought he was more involved in that, and kind of disheartened. I knew right at that point what was going to happen. So, yeah.
One of the big flips we have to do is be so captivating that kids want to come and they're asking. So that's, I suppose, is the flip of the coin, but that's asking a lot too.
Well, and you know, I can't imagine trying to do that at this time. You know, I mean, because back when I was doing this, we had co-principals, we had a dean of students, we had a very good counselor, and I was in the high school every day. And I mean, we had all those that much people, you know, attempting to get 100% attendance, and now with just our school being shorthanded and the lack of some of those services, and I hats off to you guys. Good luck. All right. Any other questions for Ms. O'Brien? All right, we're going to go to the junior, senior high school. Mr. Euling, you're up.
Welcome back.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
So, kind of out with the old, in with the new. Winter sports are over. We're now on to spring sports. So that is kind of our focus in that realm. And if you've ever seen Matt Smart, probably since December, he's probably told you about March 16th. It is a huge track meet, 16 teams. He's looking for volunteers.
Is it here?
It's here.
Oh.
So, a big deal. So if anybody wants to lend a hand on March 16th, he'll find a place for you for sure. We've had our second quarter awards ceremony since last time. And
Wait, next week?
yeah,
On Thursday, right?
Thursday.
There's another one on the 22nd.
Okay.
And another one on the 6th. And another one on the 20th.
So, for ODE, I've had some help with a student survey.
Oregon Department of Education?
What's that?
Oregon Department of
Yeah.
Education?
So we have a survey for students that they will be completing here in the next week or so, and kind of give us some insight to classes they're taking and what they might want to take that we don't offer, and general feelings about how they view the school. So we'll have some data on that. We are in the early stages of planning for a job fair that will happen in April in our gym from 9 to 11. College 101 for juniors is March 22nd. Next, I think also on March 22nd, we have it's either 2 or 3 graduates from Reedsport coming back. They have careers in IT, and they'll be talking to students about their careers in the IT world and maybe get some interest in that. They'll be coming to talk with them. We have a blood drive on April 12th. And we are kind of rolling into state testing season, and so we'll be doing trainings for that and getting that going for our staff. And that's about blood drive on April 12th. That's about it.
Any questions for?
How's your truancy?
They're absent.
Huh?
They're absent. So it's a huge problem.
Yeah.
And when we met with the judge, thankfully she got on to talk to the legislature. And I told them in the state of Washington, they have the BECA bill. And the BECA bill is if you are truant, you've got the letters, you've done all the stuff, and you're still truant, then the student is brought in front of the judge and given one kind of opportunity to turn their self around, or else they'll go to juvenile for a week or two. And so it kind of puts the emphasis on the student as well as a parent in that manner. And Their bill, if you sit in class and do nothing, you're absent. You just can't use oxygen and be in attendance. You have to be doing work. So, and I was there for 6 years and one student that went through that process.
Wow.
The deterrent measure worked.
And that student, honest truth, was sitting there right before Christmas break. Brought her in for the second time, said, "You understood what we're doing the first time?" "Yep." Bam, book her down, and he took her right the up and cuffed her, and she spent her Christmas break at juvenile home.
There has to be an end, right? So they can't keep saying, you need to be at school, you need to be at school, because the parents are saying, or what?
Right.
So we have to have an or what, and you don't need it for very many of them, because word will spread, and it's only a couple people, but you have to have that or what, because otherwise everybody's just kind of watching, oh, there's, can't do it. They keep asking us, but they can't make us. Oregon requires compulsory attendance. We are compelled to educate, and the students are compelled to attend. We need them to be compelled. There has to be an end to it.
Let's pray there is. Okay, we're gonna move along if there's no other questions for Mr. Euling. Mr. Watts, junior, senior high athletics report, please.
Yeah, just to piggyback on Mr. Euling, it's a very busy time of the year. We just finished up with all the winter sports awards, and now we have softball, baseball, golf, track and field, target clay team, esports team all started, and their first competitions all start on this coming Monday. We hope Mother Nature is going to cooperate a little bit more because we need to get some fields dried out. So that being said, yeah, volunteer for the track meets. We had an AD meeting today at the middle school level, and we have 17 teams in the league, 16 that have track and field. 690 student athletes we're trying to take care of. So, which is great. I mean, that's a good problem to have. So we're looking at roughly 200 to 230 junior high student athletes when we host our junior high meet on April 6th. So that'll be a fun day for all of us.
It's a lot of hot dogs.
We're not cooking.
It is. Coach Smart said that he makes more money during the junior high because they eat candy and everything else. I thought it was so funny. He makes more money off of that one event than he does the other three. So that's pretty funny. But getting back to the sports, we're trying to put, last time I spoke, we talked a little bit about putting all the Facebook pages on one website where if you want to know anything about Reed Sport High School or junior high sports, Reed Sport High School sports should be at one location, and then everybody clicks, boom, and we've had some conversation, and that's going to hopefully move forward sooner than later, but no guarantees by the end of the school year, but that's definitely going to happen. It brings more people to the website. It also, it brings everybody together instead of, oh, I got football's over here and softball's over here, and we're trying to bring everybody together. So that's going to be a good thing that's happening. With leadership, Carrie Albright, I always want to call you Albright, and it's Albright, right?
Yeah.
So she took time out of her day. I asked her to come in to speak to our leadership class, and as you all know, we kind of had a mascot video, and we had voting at the high school a few months back, and so I was like, okay, where are we at, right? So she came in and went through the process with our leadership class, which was fantastic because not only the students learned a lot, I learned a lot as well. And we're trying to, history is extremely important. And like what Ms. Baylor Brown said earlier, right? Teddy Roosevelt was her favorite president. And so if the kids don't know the history, then it's hard to tell the story. And so, and even though maybe the kids voted for a certain mascot, that doesn't mean that that's gonna be the end result. And so the kids were taken back. It was interesting. They were all like,
Oh,
what do you
yeah.
mean?
How did your conversation go the next day?
Yeah, it went well. It went well. But you educated us on the process, which was really, really good. And you highlighted some things that were extremely important, and they needed to hear it from somebody other than myself. So I appreciate you taking the time to do that. And I would encourage anybody that wants to come talk to our leadership class.
It's a really nice class. They're
Yeah.
great kids.
Yeah,
You
it's
just need,
fun.
just need more girls in there.
Yes, we're working on that. We're working on that. So, and so getting back to the history and presentations and understanding that how important it is to do public speaking, as much as they hate it. I remember going through it, you know, in high school and in college. It's just one of those classes you're like, I just don't want to do it, right? And so the more experience they have doing this in groups and as an individual research, I had them do presentations on their favorite president. And then today they did it on International Women's Day. And so again, the more they are aware of what's going on in the world, they open up more doors for themselves when they leave Reedsport. So that being said, I think that's about it because we covered quite a bit of the sports. Yeah, I think that's about it. So we just appreciate all the support and again, for volunteering, you know, if you have anybody that is interested, they can contact myself as well. So we appreciate everything. Thank you.
You wanted to stay right there and move right into your leadership report?
Well, I did a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah,
That was it?
Well, thank you. So the other thing with leadership is that we're also designated once a week, 1 day a week. We either do a project at the high school or we do a project at the elementary school. And so this project coming up with the tree planting, the barbecue thing, that's not a big deal, but it helps out the elementary school, but it's also interaction with the elementary kids, which is, we need more of that. And so we were sending one person down to do the Pledge of Allegiance on Mondays. And I talked to Mr. Smith and I said, you know what? I think it's better to have 8 to 10 come down and spend, 45 minutes with the school than just having one person for 5 minutes a week. So that's where we're at with that. So
What date was the tree planting?
Right now it's April 5th.
Oh, April 5th, okay.
Yeah, and I think the rainouts are April 6th or April 3rd and 4th, depending on, yeah. So.
Mr. Watts, getting healthy again, I'm back involved in some statewide programs. And I was helping with brackets for the junior high state wrestling championships.
Mm-hmm.
And I was very sad to see that Reedsport had no wrestler to add to the brackets. What's going on with that?
Well, we're working on it.
Okay.
I think I can tell you this, that we have a gentleman who's running the program right now, who is all class, integrity, passionate about the kids. And when you don't, I guess you have to have numbers, right? And it starts at the elementary school. And I think we lost a few years with the kids starting sports at the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th grade level. And so we're trying to build that back. So that's one of the other things that we're really working on with the coaches right now. We're getting ready to do a basketball clinic for the 4th, 5th, and 6th graders from the varsity basketball team. And so those types of things, the more interaction they have, again, the kids have to be excited. And if we have that interaction from our varsity sports, JV sports down at the elementary level, I will say this, one of the hardest things for me right now is finding people to donate their time to coach. It's hard. It's really, really hard. And on top of that, trying to get the parents to understand that it's junior high, it's elementary sports. Why are we ruining this experience for these kids when it's not all about winning? Everybody loves to win, but we're trying to develop fundamentals, how to be a great teammate. What are you doing, outside of this sport to help your teammates, right? And so it goes right back into the classroom, it goes around to who you're hanging around with. And so, but finding coaches is
Is
really,
the junior
really
high
tough.
coach also the varsity coach?
No. So ideal, I don't want to take up too much time here, but ideally, you want to have a program at your varsity level where everybody looks up to and you go, this guy, this gal, they're doing it right. And we're going to have a system in place where everybody down below is running the same program.
Yeah.
Right? So then it's not this huge transition every year. Well, we're running the zone this year. Well, next year you're playing man to man, right? So it's, coach knows, right? If you have a system in place, it's much easier to follow. And then you develop that down in the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th grade years when you get the fundamentals of the sport down. Now, when you get to the high school level, you're still continuing to work on fundamentals, but you're worrying about how to play the game. How do we play it right, and work on those skills. That's how you develop athletes. And so, but the other thing too, you're getting me on a tangent now. So the weight room is a top priority. We got to get kids in the weight room. Every game we go to, we're getting out and run. We're out. We're not in the best of shape. I take some of that responsibility. Maybe I should be harder on the coaches. I don't know, but that weight room I know can change lives and will change our programs. And we got to spend some money. And that's at full throttle right now. We got to get that done, because if we don't, we're just going to keep getting beat up on the field, getting beat up on the basketball court. We're going to be slower in our times. We're going to be slower on the field, speed, everything. So yeah, and her and her husband, Walker Brown and Bailey, they've taken that on. They have an after-school program, and I've already seen a difference just in the kids that are going there. And one of them stood up here 2 months ago and talked about it. It's changed his life, And once you get 1 or 2 that buy in, that's all it takes. So, yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Sorry. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you. Okay, certified ARE representative Julie Knoll, are you out there?
I am. Good evening. So I've got a little report for you guys tonight. I have some things from the high school. Reagan Copland wanted me to share that she has been having some great IEP meetings with her caseload. Parents have been, for the most part, welcoming and have been been able to give them positive progress about their children. Tara Adams wanted to give a big thank you to Joost Zetstra for being a guest speaker for our 7th graders at RCCS. He talked to them about his travels in China and taught them how to speak phrases and write a few Chinese characters. The students learned a lot about modern Chinese culture, and they have tons of engaging questions. So, Joost, thank you for being a great community connection. Mrs. Kaufman at Highland wanted to share that the 1st grade was happy to have the Rotary Club send in readers for the Gift of Literacy program. She said, we enjoy having the community connection to give us such a positive introduction to the joys of reading for fun. They also had the Lions Club come in and present students with flags, and then the 1st graders sang the national anthem for them. We had an amazing reading week. I think that was just last week. We had a spirit week where students dressed up. We had some activities that I had found, and we kind of did them school-wide. Teachers got to select and decide what they wanted to do, but it was really fun to see the same books being shared and the same activities in kindergarten and then at 3rd and some of the 4th or 5th grade as well. So that was a lot of fun. Reading night was a huge success. It was great to walk into the cafeteria and see it packed, families having fun, the kids laughing. There were 162 kids there. That includes more school age and younger siblings. And a total of 84 families attended. They did sight word hopscotch, book bingo, book walk, fishing for sight words. making bookmarks. They made bookmaking stations, a couple of them. Oobleck reading battleship. There's a fact and opinion game, a photo booth. Each student, if they did 5 activities, they got a free cotton candy. We had popcorn. HPO helped us make cotton candy. They started it and they did all the popcorn, which was like they did it all night and didn't stop because there were so many families. We really weren't expecting it. I had planned for probably about 100 kids and we ran out of the tickets for them pretty quickly. So I had to make some more, which was amazing. Connie Kaufman stepped up and made cotton candy, literally covered head to toe. And then she had a couple other people helped her. So it was great to see the teachers stepping up and doing such a great job, as always, doing these activities for our families. And for one, it's been so long since we've had them in the building, and being able to do an activity like this, it was really fun. And that is all I have for tonight.
Any questions for Julie? Thank you, Ms. Knoll. Have a good evening. Okay, moving on to classified ARESP representative Jess Daly.
Hi, guys. Well, I'll keep it short and sweet. Hopefully next month we'll have more to share. We are bargaining on Monday with the district, so fingers crossed we'll come to an agreement and be able to sign next Friday. That's all I have. Any questions?
That's it?
That's it.
That was
Short
short,
and sweet.
that was short and sweet.
I know.
Well, it's good to see you here.
Any questions for Jess? Thank you.
She's looking at you, Jack.
Yeah, well, I haven't seen her for a couple of weeks, so I have a question, but they're not for here.
Okay, technology report. Tosh, are you out there on the screen or? Did she say he went home?
So I guess, I don't really have a report for you, but if you guys have any questions, I'd be able to answer.
Oh, there he is. Okay. Oh.
Take away.
He looks a lot like
Lots of just trying to get things figured out. We're trying to plan some upgrades and looking towards the future. Don't really know what to tell you guys. I mean, if you have some questions, I can answer any questions.
Did gotta try and word this properly. Did the problems with the PA system at the grade school on Island ever get resolved? We were waiting on specialty wires or something for that PA system or intercom system. When
PA work and sound better now?
Like from last year or?
it was.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, but it seems like there's always, like after every fire drill or something, someone says, I didn't hear it in here. So there's probably still more assessments that should be happening, but yes, it is better. Yes.
Okay. Okay, thank you. All right. Maintenance report, Mr. Shoppy.
Hi.
Good evening.
So I've just got a few things. I know there's been a lot of conversations with a couple of board members about the HES office remodel project. A few updates on that. The electrical systems are probably about 80% installed as far as wiring goes. We're waiting on some light fixtures and things that are pushed out quite a ways, all the way into April, if I remember the email correctly. The electrician will be back on site tomorrow to do some more of the wiring. There seems to be miscommunication about some of the wiring for the access control board. It hasn't been done, and it wasn't in the electrician's scope of work. So we're working through that with the architect and their electrical engineer. A lot of the windows and doors have been delivered on site and are installed. So we're doing okay on that. As Sheetrock installer was on site today to get a board count to see what he needs to do to get his materials ready. To get that portion of things installed. That's pretty once he gets all those numbers and gets back on site.
Mr. Shopping,
Yes, sir.
is the drywall on site or available? Is it stored somewhere? I mean, do we have it or is it subject to
He
order?
came out today and did his measurements to get his materials ready.
Okay.
Correct.
He has access to the stuff. He just came in.
He has access to a supply. Okay.
Yeah, that should not be a foreseen. But again, I don't know what the supply is for sheetrock. So he didn't seem to have any concerns when I went.
So ETA and completion?
Excuse me?
He didn't hear.
An ETA on completion?
They did not have one because of a couple things that are still in process, like the light fixtures, they're pushed out. We did get a workaround so that the electrician can install them after the sheetrock is installed. But there's still some things that are outstanding that are not readily available that we're waiting on.
Is that it?
As far as HES goes in that office remodel project, yes.
Okay.
So a while back, we had some lead and water testing done. There's a few fixtures throughout the district that needed attention, and we've had the retesting, and it came out acceptable. We'll get those reports put on the website, and everything will be updated. We also needed to have some lead asbestos containing material testing done, mostly for the RCCS seismic upgrade that's going to happen this summer. We need those reports so we can get that to the construction company so they know what they need to do to go around things, if there's anything they have to go around. I haven't got those reports back yet. And on that, with lead paint and asbestos containing material reports, that'll bring on our HERA reports so that we're compliant on that. As Coach over still, or as Coach Watt mentioned, our spring report program, a lot of work being done by Coach Watts, Josie, Mr. Smart, and all the coaches. Everything's starting to look pretty good out there. We've had some kids that have volunteered some time. They'll volunteer Friday, and we'll be ready for our spring sports programs. That's good.
I have some questions.
Sure.
I think we were upgrading the lights on the girls softball
On the scoreboard,
scoreboard. Did that,
Joe was just waiting for a little bit better weather closer to season
Okay.
before he did anything with that.
everything's ready to go? And then we were talking about better signage at Barone Park for off-leash dogs. I recently encountered somebody with a couple of off-leash dogs and just kind of made a gentle reminder that it wasn't an off-leash park, and I was kind of given a shoulder shrug and so what, it doesn't matter. So are we gonna do any better signage? I know we were talking about that.
I will have to go and take a look at that. We have signs everywhere that say dogs are not to be off leash.
Yeah.
I'll have to see if we can increase that at all. They're everywhere.
Maybe we can just talk about a community education effort. You know, spring's coming, kids are coming back to the fields. Please stay off them with your dogs off leash.
In terms of what, and they're gonna shrug your shoulder, or what are you gonna do? I mean,
What can we do?
it's you can trespass them. Huh? I mean, that takes a pretty heavy-handed approach, and then you have to enforce that.
Because even with our new signage that we put on all force fields, say no dogs allowed on the force fields. I still see people out there every once in a while with the dogs running off leash, and I can't police it all the time.
Well, maybe we can just start a, community reminder PR project. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions from,
Oh, one more.
where you
The
going?
district office sign?
I just talked to, I just went blank for a second. Sean. He's having trouble with his 3D printer. As soon as he gets those back up, and he's got about half of the lettering done.
Okay.
Not enough to do one side of the signs, but he's got about half of the lettering done. As soon as he gets those finished, the signs will be up within a matter of a couple days.
Is the plywood just raw that's on it right now?
Excuse me?
Has it been treated, has it been painted, or is it the plywood on the sign?
There's a couple coats of primer. Been waiting for some drier weather to put the outdoor paint on it.
Gotcha. Very good.
Is the mower out front here in front of the building, is that scrap iron or is that a usable mower?
Both are usable mowers. The big red machine is the one that I use to do the bulk of the mowing on the big parts of lawn. The smaller green John Deere was just repaired. We had to repair one of the arms that the shoe goes up on, and it dumps the grass behind it. I had to move the green one out. We have a lot of surplus items in the warehouse that need to be disposed of, but we can't quite get that done yet with the weather and different projects that are taking up time. Once those items are out, we can put the tractor back in the warehouse and have a better use of it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, moving along.
I made a note to ask him if he had headset or microphone, so he'll be stationary with his mouthpiece.
Business Manager Rachel Amos.
Mr. Jones, I am so happy to see you here because there is a very important question that you have been given the authority to answer.
And only you, Mr. Jones.
So, if you remember, about 3.5 years ago, we changed the board report so that there were ample opportunities for you to look at details related to expenditures. And we have lived in that world for quite some time, and it creates a really large document. I'm totally fine with continuing to provide that document because I just email it, so it doesn't make a difference in my world. However, I have come across a more summarized brief report that I believe gives the same information. And I'm just wondering if you would have the opportunity to review that and decide which of those would receive your blessing.
I will, for sure. But you know, it's kind of nice when you're sitting in a chair with a needle in your chest for 5.5 hours, you have something to do besides listening to the little old lady next to you in the other chair snoring.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. And
So
I think
it
it's very
helped with my
important.
sanity, believe me. The unfortunate thing is I wasn't well enough to come to a meeting to, I in spirit, I had plenty of questions. I'm sure you had all the answers.
I know, I felt it.
Yeah.
I felt it out there. And I was
So
really
thank you
trying
for
to
that.
figure out. But I'm concerned about you dropping the papers and not having space in the margins to write notes. And so this new format has that availability. So it's more compact. You don't have to worry about dropping papers, and you can write notes and keep track of the information.
And
better.
still chock full of detail.
Yes.
That 20 pages is
Absolutely.
chock
Thank you.
I
full.
want you to consider this versus this.
That is correct. So after the green section that says, I don't know, reports, there on the third page in, it says page 1, and it says expenditure summary report. That concludes at page 21. And this is the newer version, the brief version that provides the same detail, except for it has all of the information in words in the first 20 pages, and the last page of that report is where all of the fund account lines are located. The next section, which is page 1 and concludes on page 119, is the common report that we are used to seeing. So those are the two I would like you to consider and decide which one you would like me to move forward with after this.
I will, thank you very much.
You're welcome. So that being said, do you have any questions stored up for me, any of you?
So I'm trying to look at that and figure out what we're gonna be looking at for carryover at the end of the school year. And I wasn't able to figure that out.
So on page 1 of the green section is the summary of the board report. And this is through January 31st. And our projected ending fund balance is 17% of the general fund, or just over $1.9 million.
The very last little one, right at the bottom, down here.
Which is really good news, because our state school fund estimate that came in for 23-24 is $265,000 less than what we had for the budget for this year. But I do want to add one small note that I'm trying to.
That's our school specific number?
Based on the ADM.
Okay.
Yeah.
260.
So we budgeted on. We budgeted on for a 22-23, $6,352,097. And our estimate for 23-24 is $6,088,007. So it's really only a difference of 10 ADM. Our budget this year was based on 610 ADMR, which is real students. And then for what we put in for the estimate for next year was 600. So why the big swing? That was the question I asked you. So as I went through every piece of the estimate for our ADM, I discovered that we have always had 2 adjustments to our ADM every year. One of them is called the remote elementary school correction, and the other is a small high school correction. Our remote elementary school correction has been completely erased. It is no longer on our state school fund estimate. So I have an email in to Adam Klein, who does the state school fund estimate. I have a feeling that with the changeover from the charter school to the district-wide charter, that they lost sight of the fact that we have an elementary school. And the reason I'm saying that is because when I uploaded the audit expenditures this year, it kicked everything that had the code that was related to the elementary school out and said this is no longer part of the school district. And so I had to call and get some assistance and add that back in so that we could have that on there. So the reason why I believe this is happening is because we used to have 2 institution IDs. We had one for the district at the state level, and we had one for the charter school. And so when we moved from a charter high school to a district-wide charter, the state directed us to use the district charter institution ID because we were becoming a district charter. But none of that data from the district and the elementary school came over correctly, and this institution ID went away. And so we've really had a lot of struggle this year trying to get collections reported appropriately. I'm trying to find the right person to get that fixed. But as far as the funding goes, I know that Adam Prime is the person I need to go to, and I asked for some guidance and for some direction. There's no other elementary school in our area. We haven't lost our remote elementary status, so there isn't any reason why we shouldn't have that back. I'm hoping it will be good news. But in the meantime, that's the number we have to budget on until we get something different.
So what's gonna happen if that doesn't get resolved by the end of the school year, the beginning of the next school year?
Well, it will get resolved. I will get an answer and within the next couple of weeks for sure. But it's either going to be, now that you're a district charter, you don't get that anymore, or oops, we made a mistake, we'll get that fixed. So I'll know before the next meeting. But in the meantime, as we're starting the budget process, we have to budget on our good faith estimate. And our good faith estimate says we are $265,000 lower than what we are for the current year. So a strong ending fund balance is really important in this in this situation, because we need to have some extra funding to bolster that loss.
Couple elements to add in. We know that the biennium coming up the next 2 years is going to be relatively flat funded. We expect that, we've said that the entire time. So as our costs are going to rise, we are not expecting any major support coming out of the state school fund. So we know we have to be in a conservative mode. Some districts are taking a recession approach. We have to be in a conservative mode for the next 2 years. Having a ending fund balance is going to help that. We also know that we're still sitting on some ESSER money that is still in the use it or lose it. We've got a year to finish using it, but it isn't just a renewable resource. And we knew those ESSER dollars were one-time infusions, and so we're finishing those up. So
And that's part of the ending fund balance, right?
yeah, it's part of the ending fund balance. We're aware of it. We know it. We're not sitting on a gold mine that we will always take the approach of spending this year's money on this year's kids and keeping enough reserve at 10% to keep the district in a safe spot. But we're not going to be sitting here saving money and getting rich. The money that we receive from the state needs to go to the staff and the services that support students, period. So this is a higher ending fund balance we want to see. It is an okay spot with some of the stuff coming up, and we have some of the federal money we're still spending down, but it's not we're just trying to sit here and save money approach. The kids and the students at our schools deserve this spent on them in a meaningful way.
So even if we get that remote elementary school correction, it's not $265,000. So we're still going to be lower this year because our average daily membership, our student enrollment count is lower.
How far off do you estimate it to be? If it's
It's
265, what is it?
10, between last year and this year, it's 10 students, so that's roughly $100,000. So it'd be maybe $165,000 in remote elementary school correction, but that depends on what the carve out is from the state, and I don't know what the carve out is for that at this time. I know that the estimate is based on the $9.9 billion budget for the state school fund, so that could also change, because I know lobbyists are trying to get it raised.
COSA and OSBA's party line is 10.3 billion, so the 9.9 is still not adequate. 11.5 would be QEM, quality education model. 10.3 is our target because I think that's a realistic number to get to. That would be better than 9.9, obviously. State level.
So if you look at our, what the value is per student in the state school fund from last biennium to this biennium, I mean, it's like $1,000 per student higher, but we're still seeing lower numbers because of the carve out. So they keep increasing the state school fund, but they're taking more out for different programs. So as far as our funding for general education school district, we're still losing every time the biennium comes out.
Plus our day-to-day operations is more expensive too.
Yeah. And they're not helping us with that.
Right.
Unless they get up to that $10.3 billion level.
I'm going to chime in on that. As they add more mandates and more compliance and more thou shalt do, without giving us the resources to pay more people to do that work for them, we're having to pull that work away from students. And that's the biggest frustration I have with, I'm calling it compliance culture in my report, that the work that they're adding on extra as they carve things out means we're dragging our school, away from our students to do work for them.
And the other part that's frustrating from an overall level for me is that They are doing nothing in the legislature to change the 11% cap of IEPs for students where they give you like an additional adjustment for that. It's capped at 11%. We are so far above that 11%, it's not even funny. I mean, we're probably right around 20%. And so they're not doing anything to give us extra funding for the students we currently have that we're trying to serve adequately. But also they're working on legislation so that we have to pay a differential to special education staff of an additional 20% over what a standard teacher would make.
Is that 21%? Is that in line with state standards, or is that specific
They
to
think
here?
11% should be the right number. to
Right,
be
but
at.
what is the real number statewide?
I hear a lot of people that are 13 plus. We stand out at 21.8. We have a lot of referrals for special education. We have a lot of students coming in with IEPs, and we have to serve them according to the way the IEP is written based on those extra needs. And when you have special extras you have to do, that always attached to money.
They're not willing to give us the funding to support these important, the things that they're trying to do are important. The work that we're doing is very important, but if you don't have the funding for it, how are you supposed to maintain that? How are you going to entice people to work in those positions if you don't give them fund? I mean, this 20% is great, but if you have to keep your salary schedule pulled back so low so that you can support that 20%, you're not gonna draw people that you need to draw either. So they have to start figuring out some funding.
In a labor market where you can't even find people anyway, so. that's-
So, out of this, projected in fund balance, how much of that is, SRS money?
ESSER money,
Yeah, ESSER money.
that's in a completely different fund. It's not part of the,
Not part of
ending
this
fund
number
balance, no. So what he's referring to is typically we would have more spend down in that projected ending fund balance, but because we are using our ESSER dollars and our grant, so some of the expenditures that we would typically have in the general fund, like we have, 5 to 7 IAs that are paid out of ESSER dollars, things like that, that are being supported by separate grants. And if we had them in the general fund, we wouldn't have the ending fund balance that's there. So we are benefiting in our general fund ending fund balance because of the one-time dollars that we have available currently.
And if we keep with the same program, next year that we have this year, that number is gonna drastically change, because we're gonna have to eat it then, right?
After next year, so we have one more.
After next year, okay.
And we have a plan for that, I mean.
When you know that it's coming, you start paying attention to where your attrition is, and you try to focus on that. Our programming oftentimes gets based on who we have on staff. And if somebody leaves, a program almost always leaves with them. People come with a skill set, you try to maximize the skill set. When they move on, then we have to adapt. And when attrition occurs, we have to figure out, okay, how do we take care, how do we maximize the fact that happens so that we're not cutting jobs and taking away from the staff who are otherwise working for certain kids. We have not had to do very much of that since I've been here, but we're always kind of paying attention to what's coming up and where are going to be opportunities to absorb somebody resigning, somebody retiring, and shift that work out to other spots. And it's.
And so the new state budget comes out next year, right? That's the money, is it this year's number?
That's what this estimate is,
That's
it's for the
what-
biennium. So it'll be for the next 2 years.
So on this ending fund balance here, we're gonna see, after next year, we'll see a drastic change because we're gonna have, or not drastic, we're gonna see a change.
Yes,
Because of losing those ESSER money,
yes,
or whatever you.
that is correct. You
Okay.
said it correctly.
Okay, and then we're gonna see a lack of money, less money coming in from the state also. So that ending fund balance number is gonna be next year gonna be a pretty dramatic.
Yes, so at the end of 2025, that's where the cliff is going to be.
Right.
So we are
Okay,
going to
that's
be
kind of what-
approaching the top of the cliff of the mesa, and we're walking toward the cliff in 24, 25, and then we fall off after in June.
That's what I was trying to get at, is where is that threshold gonna be at?
The good news is the state's projected revenues was gonna be 2 bienniums. If the cliff was at 25, it was gonna be a recession, 26, 27. They're calling less on the recession. We're just all gonna hit a cliff and have to figure out how to reorganize schools and the services and the staffing that we have to stay within the funding that we have, unless something happens revenue-wise at the state school fund level.
So then the fall of 2024 is where we really have to start planning from the beginning of the fiscal year towards how we're gonna end up for the year to prepare for the new biennium. And with all of that money gone and not available to support us, we're gonna have to be really, really paying attention to where our finances are on a monthly basis instead of, towards the end of the year when we're getting ready to budget.
I mean, we're still sitting okay, but.
Oh, yeah.
For sure, but, in 2 years, don't, not gonna look quite as appealing. But it is better, I think we'll be sitting in a better spot than we have been sitting, in previous years, so.
Yeah. Start looking at reserves and things
Yeah,
like that while we have the
yeah.
opportunity.
That's all the question.
Any other questions, Rachel? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Superintendent report, please.
So I'll start with a couple of questions. Are there any questions about snow days, about lockdowns? We've had a pretty busy couple of weeks. Snow days, I hope that people are always remembering, it isn't just the weather here in Reedsport, because we have staff who come from Florence, Siuslaw School District, we have staff coming from Coos Bay, North Bend, even Coquille, and getting our staff here safely so that we have staffing in the classrooms is also a factor of what we look at. So it's always a hard decision to make, and we don't like it. We have to pay attention to the number of seat hours we have in the year, and we are. But safety is always going to be the priority. So if anybody is having concerns about any of those decisions, I'd invite them to come in and visit with me about it. We'll kind of go through it more detail.
We ended up having one snow day and one delay, 2 delays.
Two delays and one full snow day, yeah.
But that's, compared to our other years, that's pretty minimal.
I think we've actually been fortunate. I'm in a group with my superintendents on the South Coast. A lot of them are having a lot of 2-hour delays. Coquille and Brookings in that area, and we got some mountain area above 500 feet in the 800 feet range there, and we get regular snow, and it's dangerous for kids. So they're having a lot of delays and a lot of cancellations. So we're actually doing pretty well. Our little magical 3 River area here, it keeps the circulation going. We're getting pretty fortunate. I don't know why the weather is so good here, but it is.
Banana boat.
Lockdown, we had the countywide lockdown on Tuesday. The sheriff's department and the Douglas County superintendents met. We had a pretty good review session. I'm going to applaud the sheriff's department for the level of reception and hearing for the superintendents. All of us dealt with unique sets of situations, and I think they were very attentive and always looking forward to how we can do better. The intention of the lockdown is also student and staff safety, 100%. You put yourself in the most lockdown restricted position and you work your way backwards towards normal as you can check that each phase is safe for students, safe for staff. That Tuesday lockdown was roughly an hour and a half long, which is quite a bit longer than we probably needed it and would have wanted to see it. But we know at the end of it that our students were safe and the threat isn't there. sheriff's department is acknowledge that this swatting that happened, they started at the California border, and this person went all the way up I-5 into Portland and just calling in districts, calling in counties. It was in the term of swatting. It's not probably a matter of if, but when it's going to happen again.
Does that activate the federal level of involvement?
I don't know
That's not.
how they go about tracking that cell phone. The person, you pretty much, by the time they go past us and knowing what the calls have gone in Ashland and districts all the way up, OSP was figuring out pretty quickly that this is it. Pay attention, make sure you're safe, make sure your surroundings are safe, but there is the possibility this is going on, and that's scary because now we have a new way to distract schools, to distract law enforcement when it's inappropriate. So in all that, our staff put the kids in lockdown. If they're not in lockdown, and resume teaching in a crazy hectic day. So super appreciative.
I thought you guys did a great job. And as a parent, it's really hard to have to sit back on your heels and just let the professionals do their job. But, I did that and didn't go get my kid. And just, knowing that keeping her there with classmates and teachers who could help debrief and decompress collectively was the best thing.
The circumstances surrounding Uvalde and the response that the Roseburg School District had to do, the anecdote there was in some case they were having to peel parents off of their fence perimeter while the 30 armed officers were in the high school trying to clear it and ensure it was safe. And parents, like you described the opposite of kind of overreacting, actually causing more of a problem and a burden for officers trying to make sure that the situation was safe. So we were very fortunate in the response that we got, and I'm very happy that everybody was safe. Integrated guidance is on my list here, and you will see an April action item on integrated guidance. This is 6 pools of state money. It was EIS, which is Early Intervention Systems, High School Success, Chronic Absenteeism, Career Technical Education, School Improvement, and Comprehensive and Targeted School Improvement. 6 areas where we used to get individually funded and have to do individual reports. The state has combined them all into one. And they're saying, oh, you're so lucky. Now you only have to do one report, and it's massive. And I'm being very sarcastic. I don't appreciate it. I don't appreciate the resources that we're having to put into this. It's taking good educators away from kids. This is the document we're working on. It is tied to about $800,000, and it doesn't do or ask us really to do anything different than we've done. And we're going to continue spending the money from that $800,000 in the same way. So school resource officer, school psychologist, school nurse. School counselor, school nurse, school psychologist, SRO, SEL training, the things that we have spent money for from those smaller pots of money, we're going to continue to do. It's the same amount of money, just all added together and compiled. So in April, I'm going to ask you to approve the plan that we have, which is to continue to serve students the way we've been doing it. There's not any new money that we can do something new with, or anyway. In the meantime, we're sending out a lot of surveys, and those surveys are tied to compliance. We need to tell the state that we have lots of data to support the decisions that we're making. The staff survey has been pretty good. Of 100 staff, I think we've got 30 responses so far, which is actually a good turnout. we have 70 family responses. I've learned that I have a bit of invalidity there. I have people who don't have their kids in our schools doing the survey. And that doesn't help me assess the information because they won't put their kids in our schools. Yet there's talking about the things we need to be doing differently in the schools. I don't find a lot of validity there. That might be a future effort, but that's not helping. So some of the survey information we're getting there, we might need to reassess. Then we're getting our students a survey and taking some of their feedback to see what they're needing, what they're hoping for, and that's probably where our most direct intention to serve should be coming from. So I'll hope for a speedy pass of this. We have to put it on our website. We have to make it available. Hopefully, if people want to weigh in, they'll choose the correct survey and respond. And at some point, if we want to branch out and go to community level surveys, we can go there. But our families and our students and our staff are the most important things right now. Quick comment. HPO is the parent organization at Highland. In May, they're looking for a new board, and this is parents. Currently, they have one board member, their president, who is not going to continue in May if there's no support. So there's a pressing call for volunteers for that organization, monthly meeting, but it's the movie nights and the activities that happen at Highland that the parents put on. Right now, it's just one person doing it. They need volunteers. And so hopefully people hearing and listening can support that HPO and will consider attending some of those meetings, or it may dissolve. That's sort of the back end or what of that. The South Coast TSD is looking to put together a meet and greet with our local legislatures for school boards primarily. Boomer Wright has a lot of interest in it. Chris Boyce is willing to zoom into a meeting, and one other person is willing to zoom into a meeting. So I'm not certain the date. It was initially scheduled for March 24th. Not enough people can attend, so they're looking for a date in April for that activity to happen. I'll keep you posted if there's an opportunity for a meet and greet. And I'm just going to throw it out now. When you get to consent agenda, we have one item that is not on the consent agenda tonight, and I'm going to need you to schedule a 20-minute meeting, and it probably has to be March 13th, which is Monday. I've only got morning slots available, but we have one consent agenda item that we need to have done no later than Monday, March 13th. I've got an 8:30 slot, an 11 o'clock slot, a 1 o'clock slot. We can do it remotely, but we need to have at least 3 votes to push it forward. And so we'll need to have a very fast.
So you need it on Monday?
Monday, March 13th. I'm out. I could zoom in remotely on a Friday or Saturday. I know you'll be probably working. I'm not sure where everybody else is at in their day. Hopefully 20 minutes on Zoom.
I could do a Saturday.
I don't know if I can Zoom. I don't know how.
And
I can help you.
Zoom. You can get him zooming?
I can get you zooming.
Yeah.
You can't even do a Monday, is what you're saying.
What time? Again? Sorry.
8:30, 11, or 1. Monday means that my staff who support your board meeting
Right.
will be not putting in extra time. We put in a lot of extra weeks.
Actually, Monday I can do anytime. That actually works. Sorry, I didn't think of it.
If I do it on a Monday with my staff is here, people who need help with the tech and sit here on the dais, and those who can do it remotely, work or a phone, can pop in. But
I can come in.
Okay.
And what time you want to do this?
I'm proposing 8:30, 11, or 1.
8:30?
11 or 1, and I'm throwing it out to the group.
How about 8:30? AM?
Yeah. I have bargaining that night, so I won't have an evening opportunity.
Okay, March 13th, 8:30 here.
I'm looking at everybody else.
Yes.
They're still trying to dig me out of the cave, John.
Yeah, I'm looking to Carrie and Eric. I'm hearing.
I'm good.
I'd rather do 11.
Yeah,
11?
11 would fit better for me.
Yeah.
11's good.
Eric, will you be able to pop onto a meeting?
I can sure try. How's that?
And then Bonnie too. I mean, I only need 3 of you to vote the same way for your quorum to move the consent agenda item forward. So
That's on the 13th.
Monday the 13th, I'm here at 11 o'clock now.
11 o'clock.
Yep.
Okay.
May I bring my laptop and Sonny can show me how to zoom off of it. It's terrible to be a dinosaur.
All right.
You don't need to zoom if you're here, Jack.
Hmm?
You don't need to zoom if you're.
But it would be adorable if you did.
No, but I can learn how to, at least I can learn how to get on the, I can barely get, I was doing a test today, just, or a.
Any
thing.
questions for John?
Yeah. I was doing a survey and it just disappeared. I had to start all over again.
Any questions about before we go into enrollment attendance report, is that the question?
Oh, and the enrollment attendance is there. We continue to fluctuate around 600. Depending on the time of year, we can be as high as 620. We go our budget on 610. We were gonna talk about if we voted on 610 or we'll start looking at 600. We'll just pay attention to what the attendance is.
I'm hoping when Robbie gets some apartments done, we'll have a bunch more students in our district.
Would not hurt the feelings.
Yeah.
Staff.
Staff with children.
Teachers.
Okay, we'll move along. Any business presentations? Okay. Consent agenda, I'll entertain a motion.
Oh, go ahead.
I hadn't had to make a motion
I
in
know, it's so exciting.
5 years.
Super exciting.
I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second?
I'll second.
It's been, motion's been made and seconded to approve the consent agenda. All in favor, raise your left hand. Passes unanimously.
There'll always be somebody in the crowd.
Okay, actions. A, provide 2023 graduating seniors a Chromebook buyback for a price of $30.
The senior year is the 4th year of a rotation cycle. High school freshmen get their Chromebook assigned to them after 4 years. We recycle that device. The fair market value for those Chromebooks would be $30. We cannot just give them to the seniors. We do have to deal with them following surplus rules and laws. So if we set a price of $30 and told those seniors you are allowed to buy your Chromebook if you want to keep it for that $30, they can walk away with it at the end.
I would ask that if you make a motion that you include the modification that you declare them as surplus and then authorize for them to be sold to the seniors at their
Is that one computer, one per
Yeah,
person? It's kind of
One that they
one-to-one,
use
the one that
always,
they use?
yeah. So you're providing that the senior Chromebooks are surplus and available to those students at the price of $30. They'll buy theirs on the way out the door.
Could we make that one motion the way that John just worded it? Rachel? I'll entertain a motion.
Oh, you go ahead.
Okay.
No, I did not want to know.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we provide in surplus the 2023 graduating seniors their Chromebooks in a buyback for $30 per person in a one-to-one.
Seconded.
It's been moved and seconded to declare Chromebooks for seniors surplus and let them opportunity to buy back for $30. All in favor, raise your left hand. No opposed, it passes unanimously. Thank you.
I do have one point of clarification that comes with the jacket that comes with it, or no?
We would buy it as a kit.
Oh, so it's the, okay.
Action item B, adopt 2023-2024 proposed budget committee calendar as the presented document.
I would ask that we look at the dates on this as a modification because, something occurred today in my work world that is making the dates on this calendar to have conflicts. So, instead of our first budget committee meeting being on Wednesday, May 17th, I would ask that we look at Tuesday the 9th, Tuesday the 16th, or Thursday the 18th.
Of May.
Yes,
Tuesday, the 9th.
Tuesday the 16th, or Thursday the 18th.
What time?
How much of a cascade is there through, I mean, are all the rest of the dates okay? Or is it just that one date?
Just that one date.
So if we keep that Tuesday the 9th, then it doesn't.
Here, Rachel.
It only cascades the one date.
Yes.
The 4th.
Correct. So instead of May 17th, it would be the 9th, the 16th, or the 18th.
Well, that's just a notice, so never mind, that's fine.
And you want to do it here?
It would be here, be 5:30. You need to bring your budget committee person that you have, so that there should be you plus your budget person.
And yes, we would need to adopt this tonight because we're in March, and so I'll need to start posting notices soon. So if we can look at our calendars and pick which date would work for the majority.
The 9th, the 16th,
The 9th?
all Tuesdays?
No, Thursday's the 18th.
18th. I propose the 18th.
18th?
Don't matter to me.
Although that screws up Tuesday, so the 16th or the 9th is actually better. That keeps everything flowing.
What's the general consensus of the board? What date?
The 16th.
Okay. Entertain a motion for acceptance of the budget calendar using Thursday, May 18th as the first.
Tuesday, 16th.
Oh, Tuesday the 16th.
Yep.
Okay, Tuesday the 16th as the first date at 5:30. Need a motion.
Go ahead, Gary.
Hold on a second, I'm having a hard time, I'm gonna back up. Is everybody looking at the calendar?
Yeah.
So the calendar are just publishing notices, right?
Yeah, so the dates that you, as a board, need to be concerned about are the third one, which would be proposed May 16th. The second one, if we have another meeting, would be Wednesday, May 31st. And then our regular board meeting, Wednesday, June 14th, and that's just our regular board meeting,
So it's the 17th that you can't make, not the 3rd. For some reason I missed that.
Yes. The 17th is a conflict.
Okay, so the 16th.
Please.
I'll make a motion to move the first budget committee meeting to Tuesday, the 16th at 5:30.
And so adopt the calendar as presented
And
and adopt this calendar.
And adopt the calendar as presented with that one exception.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, raise your left hand.
Did that work, John?
Carries unanimously.
We'll give you your test grade later, Karen.
You just blew that one.
How soon could we get the budget out though? The girl that I got coming in to be on the budget committee complained last year that she walked in and got it at the first meeting and she wasn't a happy camper.
You know, this girl complained about when she got to pick up the budget to be able to present it last year too, because it was 3 days before I got it and was able to present it. So since I will be in charge of the budget this year, then the goal, as in prior years, is to have it out 2 weeks before the budget meeting.
Remember, that was a transition where we were dealing with a swing from one office together.
My goal is that we get the budget out to the committee, they have time to review it, we have one meeting and we approve it and move on. I don't expect any surprises or any craziness, so I don't think there's going to be a ton of discussion about the budget. And having the hope of if we start at 5:30, then people will be hungry and ready for dinner and maybe don't want to stay here really late.
I got something before we go into executive session. I attended, my first social outing was the Reef Dinner, and I was amazed. I counted 19 retired educators from Reedsport alone at that Reef banquet, and 6 current teachers and 3 of them being administrators, you guys. I just want to say I appreciate you guys attending, and it just kind of makes you feel good that these programs are doing something special, that those retired educators would like to come back. And our guest speaker, had them, a lot of them in school and mentioned them, and seeing those, I mean, geez, I almost didn't recognize Mrs. Dearborn. She was the principal at Highland when I was a school resource officer, and it was great. The other thing is, April 15th is coming up, is the booster auction and banquet, and I was amazed last year at how many people from the school staff and stuff were coming there, and we talked about it in the meeting that it sure is appreciative. Some of us are getting kind of long in the tooth and getting a little more gray than we want to have, or less hair, and we're looking to add some younger people to that program. But when you're out there busting your butt once a year to help the sports program, and you're out there making $36,000 to $40,000 to help that, it's important in our little community. Not to mention, it gives us an opportunity for staff and current staff and stuff to mix with alumni and make those connections and stuff. And it's amazing. You don't think people listen to what's still going on in the little Reedsport, but one of the big subjects we had, and a lengthy conversation, was the fact that we have the skeet trap club at the high school. And I was amazed that people that, were as well informed as they were. They knew kids' names, they knew what was going on, they knew where we practiced, how hard it was to get going and stuff. And that kind of makes you feel good when you're going out there getting these donations, doing it. And having you guys there is a big, big plus. So thank you for that. Anybody else got anything to add? Yeah, that's what we're going to. Oh,
Before executive session.
oh, you? Oh. That's,
I know what you're trying to do over there.
I almost got away with it.
You almost. So I guess that's the chair.
Dang it. Okay, I'm sorry. Now we're gonna move into,
Action item C.
action item C.
Page 3 on the agenda. It's the review of chapter D. So you should have the small packet with the yellow highlights. You asked for the language to be placed in as it will appear so that it reads correctly. And I would offer that they're ready to go. The last one, it does say choose between the two, and the recommendation, the big draw was to choose the top, very last page, D and godmother, to choose the top paragraph. That was the recommendation that I presented back last month. So without questions, you might be able to move through chapter D relatively quickly.
Do you want a motion on C then?
Yeah, the 7 items under C.
Can I make a motion there, Chair?
Yes, you did.
Okay. I make a motion that we accept action item C 1 through 7 as approved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, raise your left hand. Passes unanimously.
Okay, the chapter E is new. You've got your homework. You have the big thick folder that we gave you. We'll go through
It's numbers 1 through 50, and we'll follow our procedure where we have a poll when you have a question on a specific policy. I've got a few poll as well, and I'll let you know as they come up. So on number 1, EA, support service goals, recommend and delete. Anybody? Number 2, EV safety program, update. Number 3, EVA, buildings and ground inspection, recommend for delete. Number 4, EBAC, safety committee, recommended for update.
Point of clarification,
Okay,
do we have a safety committee?
yes, meets monthly, and 9 o'clock on Fridays.
No poll.
Number 5, EBB, integrated pest management, recommended update. I have a clarification for you, so I'll pull 5.
That one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Number 6, EBAA, first aid, recommending an update.
Poll.
Okay. Carrie.
You said hold, Karen.
What's that?
What'd you say?
I said poll.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, I'm just pulling that one because I had a question about it.
Number 7, EBBAA, infection control and bloodborne pathogens. I will pull that. I've got an update in there for you. Number 8, EBBAB, hepatitis B bloodborne pathogens, recommended for delete. Number 9, EBBB, injury illness reports, recommended for update. Number 10, EBBCC, use of automated external defibrillator, AED, recommended for delete. Number 11, EBC/EBCA, emergency procedures and disaster plans, recommended for update. I will pull that one. Number 12, EBCB, emergency drills, recommended for update. Okay. Number 13, EBCD, emergency school closures, recommended for update. Okay. Number 14, ECA, buildings and grounds security, recommended for delete. Number 15, ECAA, access to buildings, recommended for update. Number 16, ECAB, vandalism, malicious mischief, or theft, recommended for update. I have a poll for you. 17, ECACA, radio frequency identification device, recommended proposed.
Is that the one you're pulling, or the one before it?
I pulled 16.
Point of information,
Okay,
do we have them or use them?
not currently. It would be policy to have on hand.
Okay. Then no poll.
Number 18, ECACB, unmanned aircraft system, UAS, AKA drone, recommend proposed. I will pull that. Number 19, ECD, parking and traffic controls, recommended for update. Please note on number 20, ECF, energy conservations, recommended for update. I'm going to recommend that you just skip that one, don't do any action with it, and delete it. And I can pull it and explain why if you
Pull it and
prefer.
explain it, please.
Okay. Same thing on number 21, ECG, vehicle idling proposed. I'm gonna recommend you just don't even adopt that one. It's optional. I'll pull it. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
I want to know why.
Sure. Number 22, EDB, maintenance and control of district materials and equipment, recommended for delete. 23, EDC, authorized use of school-owned equipment and materials, recommended for delete. Number 24, EDC/KGF, authorized use of district equipment and materials proposed. I've got some clarifications in there for you. I'll pull it. Number 25, EEA, Student Transportation Services, recommended for update. Number 26, EEAC, School Bus Safety Program, recommended for update. Okay. Number 27, EEACA, School Bus Driver Examination and Training, recommended for update. Number 28, EEACC, Student Conduct on School Buses, recommended for update. Okay. Number 29, EEACCA, Video Cameras on Transportation Vehicles, update. Okay.
Pull.
Pull, Carrie Jones. C.
And on the, John, the AR before that, you're going with the proposed?
I've been going through those, making notes and changes, but I have to write those administrative rules based on the policy that we have, so. And I'm not even bringing those up because that's work I have to do. 29, pulling for Jones. Number 30, EEACD, use of district activity vehicles for student transportation. Okay. 31, EEAE, student transportation in private vehicles, recommended updates. Number 32, EEBA, district vehicles, recommended for delete. Number 33, EEBAA, district vehicles / seatbelts / child safety system, recommended for delete. Number 34, EEBB, use of private vehicles for school buses, recommended updates.
For district business?
Oh, I'm sorry. Use of private vehicles for school business, recommended update. I've got some notes in there, I'll pull that. 35, food services, EF, food services management, recommended for delete. Number 36, EFA, wellness program, recommended for delete. Number 37, EFA, local wellness program version 2, proposed.
Point of information?
Okay.
Do we have a wellness committee?
We have people doing wellness activities. I'll pull that and run through EFA.
I
version
don't,
2.
I don't need that. I
Yeah,
trust the process, but if you want it, fine.
Yeah, there's a couple of
Okay.
brackets for me to go over. 38, EFAA, child nutrition, recommended for delete. Number 39, EFAA, district nutrition and food services, proposed. And I'm actually going to recommend that you don't take any action on this one also and just let it go. It's optional and I'll explain why, so I'll pull it. I see Carrie. Okay. Number 40, EFAB, handling lost, stolen, and misused meal tickets, recommended for delete. Number 41, EFAC, child nutrition, public notification, recommended for delete. Number 42, EFB, free and reduced lunch, price meals, recommended for delete. Number 43, EFC, vending and school stores, recommended for delete.
Pull.
Jones. Number 44, EGAAA, reproduction of all copyrighted materials, proposed. I do have a few points to clarify there for you. 44. 45, EGA, CA, cell phones proposed. Make a note, I'm gonna recommend you take a second reading on that one. 46, EH, records and data management proposed. And I'm gonna recommend you don't take any action on that and just let it go. I'll explain why. 47, 48, and 49. I'm gonna have you read 47. That's the version most applicable to our district. That's EHA, Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, HIPAA.
Which version?
Version 1, number 47.
We don't have them numbered, so.
Oh, okay. So 48 and 49 are the same policy, version 2 and version 3, as number 47, version 1. And we're going to go with version 1. It's most applicable to us. So we will not adopt, I'm going to recommend you not adopt 48 or 49. Number 50, EIA, insurance programs proposed. I'm going to recommend you let that one go. It's optional. I can pull it. So, all right. Are you ready for the big book? You need a nature break.
Everybody need a break?
I really need to go to the bathroom.
Yes.
I could use the restroom, Mr. Chair.
Are you guys just going back through these and approving or holding them now?
They're going to, got some clarification, so when OSBA gives a bracket language, choose this or this, I'm going to give my recommendation choice. I'm going to answer questions they had when they did their homework. Some of them will be probably taken as an action item for approval tonight. Some could go to second reading. I'm going to recommend the board ignore some of them.
Good.
Good to see you.
These chairs are
I need to know what's going on every morning. Same, this is thing. Okay, nice day.
Mr. Jones, you missed, I
I got my big book of policies here. The first one that you wanted was number 5.
EBB?
Yeah, number 5.
This the one with the contractor's name specified?
EBB, yeah. On page 2 of 3 for EBB, near the top, it says the district shall designate and list a specific vendor, and the head custodian is the integrated pest management coordinator. I'm going to recommend you remove the name of the specific vendor so that it just reads the district shall designate head custodian, which in this case is Michael Shockey, but that position as the IPM coordinator.
Should it say head custodian or designee? Necessary to do that?
Right now, we have that position. I think the head custodian in previous years was a specific person in the building, and it's probably a relevant person to keep listed. So, but I think removing the specific company by name, I don't think that's appropriate to have in policy. So you would strike through, it says Eden Pest Control and, that's what needs to happen there. The rest of it is fine. Any questions? Number 6. EBBA, number 6.
EBBA?
EBBA. The bottom portion, and you may want to hold this one over, has a lot of bracketed material. The first set of brackets is the one that fits us best. At least one staff member with a current first aid card for every 60 students enrolled. Basically, one coach per program and about every other classroom teacher. So I would recommend striking the other brackets and going with the first set. Everything else stands as provided by OSBA. Questions or needs?
No.
I'm going really fast. Make sure you stop me.
Are you gonna hold for my question?
Oh, yeah, you got a
So
question.
in cases of sudden illness or injury to a staff or a student or staff member, first aid will be given by a school staff. Further medical attention for a student is the responsibility of the student's parents. There's no stopgap for an emergency situation where we need to call 911 or get an attendee on site. How does
It's responsible to a
that?
student parent or someone the parents designated in case of emergency. When you register your child.
Is that designation
when you-
count?
Yeah. when
It's
you-
not a person, it's an entity, we can call 911.
Yeah, if we can't reach you, parent,
Emergency services.
and we call, then we have it's a local parentis, but when you do registration, you
Okay.
give us the authority.
That's
to
how that's
provide
done.
medical.
It wasn't clear because it
Yeah.
made it sound like you were still designating
Student
that
parent is
person.
the primary, or student, someone the parent designates, and the school is the designee in most cases, so.
Okay.
We can go straight to 911.
Okay.
Good question. Anybody else, number 6?
Mhm.
Number 7, EBAA. Page 2.
Did you want to talk about idling and why you want to strike those?
Have we got down there?
Oh, sorry, I thought you
Yeah.
said page 2.
I'm on number 7.
Okay.
Number 7, EBAA, page 2 of 2.
Oh, sorry.
The second page of that policy has several sets of box brackets. ODE, OHA, Public Health, Local Health Department. I would recommend that you select the Education Service District as the box bracket for us. So the other brackets would be struck. Page 2, the last line, all those box brackets on EBAA. Did that lose you, Carrie?
There's no page 2 on EBBA. Are you talking about the AR?
EBBAA. Elephant, boy, apple. It's called the Infection Control and Bloodborne Pathogens.
Okay, thanks.
That-
Which one?
Right here. Number 7
Yeah,
on our list, EDAA.
cooperate with the,
And I'm gonna recommend you pick Education Service District,
and that is,
South Coast ESD for us. That allows the soups down there to coordinate with local health authorities as they need based on what's available. We're required to stay with health authority and they're not able to get to us for a variety of problems. Our ESD is our most consistent resource by far.
Okay.
That was 7. Number 11 on your list. Number 11 on the list, EBC. Got some notes for you.
can you say the name?
Number 11 is Emergency Procedures and Disaster Plans. You may ask for a hold on this one. There's a lot of red ink. Page 1, Emergency Procedures and Disaster Plans. The whole bottom portion in box brackets, I'm proposing to strike. Shortens the policies. So in case of long-term disruption and everything below it, all those 10 listed items, we have to do emergency procedure disaster plans. They need to be complete and they need to follow the state direction in submitting them. Those directions can change annually. This written in policy forces us to match the policy against potential conflicts with the state may ask of us. Putting it into policy locks us into something that makes it difficult for us to unlock. So I'm gonna recommend you don't put it there. That portion is optional. We still have to do what the state tells us and complying with the reports we have to turn in. So I would recommend striking that entire bottom half. Any questions? Do you want that held to reread? Moving on. Number 16, ECAB, vandalism, malicious mischief, or theft. ECAB. Very short, easy fix. The very end of the policy said the district is not liable or responsible for personal property brought onto district property. That's in brackets. I recommend you include that. Last sentence on the policy, I recommend inclusion. Questions, needs, holds. Everybody see it? And there was a malicious mischief or theft, last line. Everybody good? Are we got it? Okay. I'm not seeing eye contact, so I'm
Sorry.
we're still going.
If we're not grunting, we're not,
Okay.
we're okay.
Number 18, ECACB, unmanned aircraft, AKA drone. In the middle is boxed brackets. I recommend that be struck and not included. It's a optional policy.
The district recognizes academic value.
Yeah, as soon as the policy says the district recognizes the value and we have an incident, we're forced to recognize the value. So yes, we do, and if it's good for education, we'll do it, but locking it into policy that could be turned against us if there's an incident we don't want to be locked into. Second page of that policy says superintendent or designee.
And I would just leave it as superintendent for the third-party use. I would recommend that out for the other person to be approving. So 2 changes to that, we'll put the easy ones. Third-party use. Number 19, parking and traffic controls, ECD. Second paragraph, it says cited and or in box brackets. I recommend you strike that. Just isn't super practical. We're more likely to have the code, in my experience. We put a notice, we slap a sticker on their window and try to call them, we know who they are. And if we give notice and we tell them it's code, it's code. Trying to cite them into court that's more than our responsibility. End of the policy, there's box bracket, and I recommend that you include that. Law enforcement authorities are authorized to enforce public laws as written. Questions on that one? Good to go. Next page, ECF, energy conservation. It's optional. I recommend delete. Again, policies that are things that we have to be locked into that are kind of ahead of us. It's optional. You can come around to this later if the needs and interests of the districts change. But I don't think that's something that we're doing right now, and that's not a direction that we're focusing right now. So the policies are quite a bit ahead of us. And I'm not recommending you delete it. I'm just recommending you don't take any action and just bypass it. You can bring it back around in the future.
It exists in its current form,
We have energy conservation. Yeah,
ECF adopted in 16.
yeah. I would. 15 of 1990.
And you said it's what number?
Yeah, I would recommend you delete it. It's not necessary.
Number 19?
It's 20. It's number 20. I would recommend that we delete that. It's just one more thing to worry about in the direction that we're moving. Likewise, number 21, ECG vehicle idling proposal. I wouldn't recommend that for adoption. I would just skip it.
Are the buses currently idling in the parking lot?
Our
while kids
buses
are
are
loading?
required to be working on emissions improvement. Scott Lewis is ahead of his, I think it's 2025 deadline, and he's ahead of his standards. He's ahead of his deadline. So everything the school buses have to do, they do. They shut off when they park.
Okay, that's the question.
Yeah.
They're not idling when they're waiting for kids to load.
Yeah, he shuts off because it's better for them. They're there early enough that it's worth it. We've also got parents and it's enforcement that we don't want to get into.
Okay.
And
Well, and
conversations we don't necessarily need to have.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, so number 24, EDC. Authorized use of district equipment. Couple recommended changes. Second paragraph, recommend superintendent and strike and/or board. Putting the board in the position of making the decisions on stuff like this means you're waiting possibly 30 days till the next meeting. You need to be able to move a little bit more quickly, and I'm your agent for that, or your superintendent's the agent for that. So I would recommend that superintendent.
You said which one?
Authorized use of district equipment, materials version 2. The proposed one.
Gotcha.
Okay. So I recommend superintendent, not board. The highlighted paragraph, I recommend yes, include. and this may be one to hold over because there's enough changes and stuff. Last paragraph, box brackets, there are no equipment use fees. I recommend you strike that. Don't put it in there, and you do it if you need it. I recommend you strike transportation of borrowed equipment will be the user's responsibility. Transportation of borrowed equipment. We have a courier system. It might be in our best interest to be able to courier things at times rather than trust an employee to be transporting it around. So saying it's their responsibility, I believe is not giving us our option to do it better ourselves. And the rest of the box brackets I recommend you include. So if you want to hold that one to see it,
So you scratched no equipment use fees?
I scratched that.
Okay.
Any hold, any go forth? Okay. So Carrie Jones had number 29, EEACCA, video cameras on transportation update. Carrie Jones, go ahead.
Well, it only addresses home to school. I was wondering if, sporting activities or field trips should be included in that.
When I'm glancing through the OSBA update highlights the transport of students to and from curricular and extracurricular activities. So that would be the sports element of it. I see that third paragraph. But that would cover that. Because you're right, but we do want those long road trips to have those cameras running for sure.
Okay.
Any other questions on that one? Very good, very good.
I assume Lewis Transportation has a method of storing recordings for the 15
They're
days.
buying new cameras that I've authorized a purchase of, and my caveat in buying new cameras was I want it in the cloud. I want it wireless so that we can get it right here in our computers too. They've got it on the other end, but they don't have to transfer the old physical cassettes like we used to.
Right.
So they're going to have a better system. It also picks up audio, and we're going to have immediate access just like we do in the rest of our building. So big upgrade. And some of those longer bus routes, Smith River in particular, we can start clarifying some of the activity that we're running into.
Smith River kids.
There's,
If it's cloud-based, does it run off of a satellite? What's the
the
feed
camera
system?
runs itself, and then when
Right.
the data goes
And then it
back and
uploads
forth,
from the,
yeah,
okay.
it'll upload. So
I can see Al's ditching.
we'll lose, we will lose them when they get up there in some of those dead zones. So when they come back into service, the upload, download will happen, and we'll be able to access that.
We're having issues with the Smith River kids.
I gave an example of a long bus route. That one is one of our
That's
darkest
always the
routes
Smith River
because
kids.
we've got a good busload of kids, and there's a lot of time up there where there's just no access, and it's just a long drive. We've also got one, we go out to Loon Lake Oral. We have a sporting activity. Some of those longer drives can be where stuff happens. Just because kids are bored.
Our old bus driver just put us in charge.
Yeah.
No picking on little kids. None of this stuff, you're gonna behave yourself. Keep your hands to yourself. If not, he said, do what you have to do. And it was a nice calm bus ride up the river.
Any other questions on cameras? 34, EEDB, use of private vehicles for school business. The whole dates, last paragraph. A student will be allowed to perform district business with their own vehicle or a staff member's vehicle. We have cadets driving back and forth, and if they courier something from the high school down to the elementary, they're doing our business. And that's the only example, but our policy says they're not allowed to. We could be getting a kid in trouble or a staff member in trouble, just for hauling an envelope from one building to the other. So that's the reason for will. And rest of the box brackets, I recommend. Okay. On your agenda, third page of policies, number 37, Local Wellness Program Version 2, EFA. This is 11 pages. Second page, a section called Record Keeping. I recommend delete. Don't even include it. All of this is directed from Child Nutrition Services, Oregon Department of Education. All of those are there. We have to follow them. Putting them in policy doesn't give us the ability to be nimble when they make changes on their end. Right above it, there's superintendents and principals. I would recommend the principals are in charge of their schools. So that. Page 3, Wellness Advisory Committee. That entire section, I recommend no. Putting in policy having to do it if we change staff and we have less interested people doing it, then we're forcing folks to do something that they may not have an interest in. It's one of those activities that tends to come and go with the will of the staff to have doing it. Page 4, Nutrition Promotion and Nutrition Education. The second paragraph is box bracketed. I recommend you strike that. The number 1, 2, and 3 is a list of goals. I recommend you keep goal 1 and goal 2, then strike the majority of this. This is going to be a good one to hold, by the way. The rest of the goals I recommend you strike. Page 5.
Hold on. Well, can you send this one to us in your proposed form?
I would recommend a hold on this one because there's a lot of changes.
That's what
I
I'm
recommend.
asking for, is
Yep.
if we hold, that we get a proposed
I'm gonna check.
final version to look, I mean, you know.
There is so much required by Child Nutrition Services from the state level. We have to do certain things anyway. Some of the stuff that they have here for goals are going to be very staff specific. They're going to be very, very nimble, and the stuff we have to do, we're going to do. So putting it in policy kind of double locks us. I think we don't need to be double locked on some of this stuff. So my proposals and recommendations are going to follow that line of thinking. On page 5, I'm going to recommend the first 2 goals and striking the bottom 3. On page 6, water, I recommend striking that section. Yes, we're going to get kids water. Policy just opens doors. Celebrations and incentives, several corrections there. I would strike will meet or exceed. I would support are encouraged to meet. I would strike at the end, food will not be used as a reward incentive. I would say, I would encourage the information will be conveyed to staff and parents. Lots of changes. Food and beverage marketing in schools. Second paragraph is box brackets. I would recommend you delete that. Page 7.
Do we have any marketed products? Do we have a Pepsi machine anywhere?
And number 10, I'm sorry, page 7, there's 10 goals listed. I would strike quite a bit of it. Goal 5, goal 6, goal 7, goal 9, goal 10. And again, these are goals that we get to choose, and some of them are not necessary. Some of them are in Division 22 PE standards. Some of them
So just
lock us into things we don't need to be locked into anymore than we are.
5, 6, and 10?
5, 6, 7, 9, and 10.
Oh, 7.
And so again, this is a good one to hold and review next month. Page 8, I would recommend you keep the top box bracket. Under other activities that promote student wellness, I would keep number 4, number 11, and number 12, striking the rest.
Keep 4.
11 and 12. 4, 9, 11, and 12.
What do you got against wellness?
Page 9, I would strike that where it's in the top. I would strike employee wellness, that entire section, this whole page. Page 10, I would strike the remainder of the policy. So I'll bring this back to you next month. Cleaned up. Questions? Okay, 39, District Nutrition and Food Services, EFAA. Version 2, I would recommend you don't adopt. Proposed one. We have it all covered, it's directed by Oregon Child Nutrition Services, where our nutrition program, we're already locked in. So I would recommend just skipping that one. Um, 44, EGAAA, reproduction of all copyrighted materials. Very bottom, guidelines versus administrative regulations. I would select administrative regulations. Simple fix.
I think Carrie Jones had 43 marked out to hold.
What's the title of that one?
You did.
Vending in
Oh,
schools.
yes, sir.
Schools.
Let me skip back to it. I'm on 44.
Oh,
Vending
vending in
machine in
schools.
school stores, you're right.
Let's see.
My bad. EFC, vending in school stores, is recommended for delete. Here you had a question.
How's that gonna affect, concessions?
Vending machines, school stores, they're wanting this to follow what the local wellness policy of EFA is, so would be included in there. It wouldn't be its own separate policy. Then several of these titles, vending machines, meal prices, child nutrition, are kind of being lumped into that EFA broader 11-page policy instead of being individual items later on in the chapter. So that's what they're doing here. That's why they're recommending to delete. Concession stands are addressed in EFA and the expectation of what we do.
Okay.
Okay. 44, reproduction of all copyrighted materials. Recommend the administrative rule, not the guidelines at the bottom. Number 45. EGACA. I've got a question out. I'm working with legal. I'd like just take that straight to a second reading. EGACA. Proposed.
Cell phones?
Yep. I just request to take that straight to the second reading because I've got to question out to attorney, to legal. I'd like to get straight before I have to explain it and answer it incorrectly. So that would be my request on that one. Questions about that otherwise? Recommend that we do not adopt EH records data management. 47 EHA version 1. Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, HIPAA. I'm going to recommend version 1 policy adopted, and that you ignore version 2 and ignore version 3. Last policy proposed is insurance programs, EIA. I'm going to recommend that you do not adopt. That's not one we need. We have plenty of stuff telling us how to do all this, plenty of controls in place. I'm done, Mr. Chairman.
I would like to ask the business manager's opinion on the insurance piece.
I don't have the policies.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I made you sit here and not have to read all this? It's not really fair.
Proposed, optional, and I say you have enough controls, otherwise no.
Yeah, I know that property insurance is in policy elsewhere and health insurance is covered in the CBA. I don't think that is necessary.
And the board's still covered, so.
Yes, very much so.
So I think you've got lots of little batchy motions to make them do it here.
What's that?
I think you've got lots of little chunks of motions to deal with here.
What's she saying?
I think I heard something about Sparky, which is the dog. I would maybe go sequentially and kind of, like the first 4, I think, were without question, and you could probably take a motion on the small chunks. Or either carrying forward for second reading, or to approve, or to ignore.
What's your pleasure, board?
Well, we can just make a motion as they're proposed, right? So some of them are delete, one of them's, well, I guess, then a couple of them are update, so.
Yeah.
So we say as proposed, we'll take the recommended changes that,
Your first part.
we'll take your recommended changes.
Right.
And the proposed?
Clarify the language of proposed.
The recommended changes, one, except for the one that we held,
Which is what number?
marked it, it's number 37. I've already asked that one to be held. And number 45, cell phones, I requested that one to be held.
And then which ones were the ones that you wanted to ignore?
I would like you to delete number 20. I would like you to ignore number 21.
There's no current policy.
It's a proposed, I'd like you to ignore it. On the third page, number 39, I would like you to ignore that one. On number 46, records and data management, I'd like you to ignore that one.
So if we ignore them, we don't have to make a motion on it, we just.
Right. Yeah, they're optional, they're proposed, and you're just gonna skip it. On number 48 and number 49, I'd like you to ignore both of those. On number 50, I'd like you to ignore that one. So the only one I'm asking you to delete is number 20. The rest I'm asking you to ignore. Take no motion. Make no motion.
And the rest of them will be as proposed.
Unless they're held. There's two that we're holding.
Right. So I'm gonna try to fumble a motion through this, Craig.
Okay.
I'll try to do it all at one time here. Let me get my pages straight here. So I make a motion that we accept policies 1 through 19 as proposed. Delete 20. Take as proposed 22 through 36. Second reading on 37. Proposed on 38. Proposed 40 through 44. 45 a second reading. Proposed on number 47.
Nicely done.
You're all set.
That many, you know how many times I've had the correct move back?
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded.
So Eric and Carrie. So, Eric.
We'll wait for John to catch up and then we'll move. Yeah, good. All in favor, raise your left hand. All opposed, no. Passes unanimously.
Good job.
That's pretty tough, Jeff.
I thought you guys were going through it again. I was like, bless your heart. Look at you go.
They're pretty tough to hang in there.
I went to bed at 7:30 last night, so I need to make up for it.
Oh.
And don't you think this is really attractive work? I mean, this is just
It is.
so
It's just like
stimulating.
where people need to be on Wednesday night.
9:40.
What else we can do to reach?
Me and Ben.
In bed.
Yeah.
Getting up at 3 in the morning.
Now I made a total mess of
Now, this
it.
is our new one to go over.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
I forgot.
So page 5, you're on to discussion, Mr. Jones.
And I'm looking for my agenda.
Item A says the budget committee, 1 nomination from each board member. That's just for discussion amongst the board. If I could throw out
Everybody
an
bring their
offering-
spouse.
Well, if I could throw out an offering on that, it was great last year that we had a full committee. That's the first time since I've been here since we've had a full committee. So that's good because we're getting more input. The whole intention of that process is to involve the community in what is going to be an important decision, that budget. I would encourage and support finding your person sooner, not later, as you get closer to that May 1st meeting. Now, if you can tell them now and have them circle their calendar for you, that'll move it right along, I think. Wait too long, it gets trickier if people are tied up with sports and other activities. Yeah.
I thought our first meeting was the other May the 16th.
Yep.
Okay.
He meant number one, not the first of the month.
The first meeting, yeah, and that,
Will you have, will Sharman, will you be able to send out an updated?
I don't know if I can get my wife to get back on it again or not.
we'll put out an updated calendar, it has to be published correctly, and we'll get that out to you. But
Just so we have it.
if you have a bug now to define that budget committee member.
Who can't we get?
That's the board's discussion and prerogative.
I was thinking she might make a great one.
Cannot be an employee and has
Right.
to be somebody who has been in the district for at least a year.
Yeah. I'll try to convince my little wife to do it again.
Can
She wasn't too happy last year.
Any other questions or comments? Move on to board member comments, and I went out of turn and took mine, so Jack, you got anything?
Great to see my daughter-in-law.
Carry over?
No, I'm good.
Thank you. Have we heard any more on the, having to fill out the tax information?
Vince Adams' update was the most update I have. The economic interest statement, the EIS, April 15th sounds like it's the deadline, same as tax day. I heard Vince say it's a daily fine, which made me panic because a lot of people around the state are facing that. There's legislation out there, it will not happen fast enough. The person is going to be on the board and file, they need to probably get it done prior to that.
I didn't think it started till April 15th.
No, it closes April 15th. You got a month. It starts March 15th.
Yeah, it's open now.
No, I don't think it is. I think it starts March 15th. It'll be open.
Oh, okay.
Yours might be sooner.
Yeah, Charmin has the link for you and has sent it out. I call them directly and I just do it over the phone. I mean, they're more than happy to help over the phone. They just ask the questions and they check the boxes for me on their system.
You haven't heard any more on a daily, what the daily fine is?
No.
Well, Vince was saying something like $50 a day.
Yeah. I mean, 'cause this
Up to 5,000.
This is the DOJ, so they.
Last year it was $10, and it was, cause Keith Timchuk got in late.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you've done this.
Well, maybe he was just trying to get our attention. I don't know, but he said.
He paid $10 and they waived, it was 5 days late, they waived the other 4 and he just paid $10. So they're not,
I've just been waiting
Did you,
for it
have
to
you
open
filed
up.
it then?
huh?
You must have filed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mine's on the computer support office, it's just a form and you fill in the boxes and then hit submit, and that's all it is. It takes about 10 minutes.
So does yours transfer over? Can you just use the
No,
same one?
I already
or you
asked
have
her.
to- You have to do it again.
I have to do another one. In case I come in late for both of them, they can get double the money. Yeah. It might have gone up from the $10 one to 50, but last year was 10, so, cause Keith had to pay it. Okay. Is that your last one? At this point in time, we're gonna move into executive session under ORS 192660. 1A.
Have a good night, guys.
Thank you, Jeff.
You can call you do.